Welcome to your September bonus messages. These messages are meant to update you with the September energy update we did a couple weeks ago. Also last week, in case you missed it, we had a fantastic guest on, my good friend Chris Reck from Minopontero, where we talked about the next 3 months. There were some really, really great messages coming through there and really some overall understandings of this energy that we're stepping into. Now, we have had some shifts since that time, so I invite you to listen back to those messages and add them to these as a way to get some clarification, because at the beginning of this month, when I first got started looking at the energy for really the rest of 2025, because I did do a video on that a few weeks ago as well, I saw that one of the big things we're going to have coming up for us is a new way of receiving intuitive messages, and you're going to be getting a lot of messages in September that may not be very clear. You'll notice that something feels a little off. You'll notice that something seems a little too coincidental, but you can't put your finger on why. You'll have a feeling about something, but then you'll have a thought that comes in that contradicts it. So these are things you want to be writing down. Keep that journal by your bedside so you can write down anything coming through in dreams. Keep your journal with you as you're going through your day. If you can't keep your journal with you, you can always put it in your phone and go put it in your journal later. But I really encourage you to write all these things down, because we are going to be using the gift of hindsight in October to interpret a lot of these things. New things are coming online, new messages are coming online, and it's going to be so important that we give ourselves credit for what's coming through. So that was the one big thing that is continuing to carry through. The other thing is we are going to be seeing some big I don't know what the word is. I'm wanting to say almost like glitches in the timeline as far as things not matching up. Like things are going to seem like they're not matching the energy flow. It's like, well, where did that come from, kind of a thing. And that's going on. A lot of it is because of this eclipse season is what I'm getting, but it's also because of this massive shift we're moving into in 2026. So again, something to be putting in your journal is if you feel a sudden shift in energy, okay? And this can come through reading a headline, having a certain dream. For me personally, I've noticed that my dreams have shifted in the way that I'm interacting with people in my dream, characters. I've had people coming back from my past, people I haven't talked to in well over 10 years are appearing in my dream for deep conversations. Connections with passed away loved ones are huge. I mean, we're having that a lot right now anyways, but I really want to encourage you to stay open and aware to these things, because it's coming in. You know, the way that I see it, it's almost like the drinking from the fire hose analogy. It's coming in so fast that you could almost miss it. Now, one of the things that I've had to do, and I did mention this last week, for those of you who were there, by the way, thank you so much for all of you who have been commenting on the lives and stuff. Those are always so much fun to match energies and match readings to see what we're both picking up on. But basically, you know, I've found that I have to be very patient with myself when I feel or hear or get an intuitive hit about something, and I don't particularly like what I'm getting. I'd love to hear in the comments if this happens to you regularly. For me, it's not always the case. A lot of times I'll just say, you know, everything's happening for me, everything's working out for us. But, you know, lately I've been getting some messages that I'm like, you know, I don't really want to have to follow that guidance, if that makes sense. It's like, I really want to be able to just trust that it's going to be easy and in the flow. But that intuitive hit that I just got means I'm going to have to put a little more elbow grease into something. I'm going to have to change my plans a little bit. And I know it's for my highest interest, but it's kind of a pain to do, okay? So that's where I'm going. It's nothing negative. I just want you to pay attention to those because it can be so easy to ignore those little nudges that are meant to make it easier for you down the road. But in the moment, it might feel a little bit like a pain because you're having to go out of your way to do something. Maybe you're having to spend a little extra time on a project, a little extra money on something you weren't wanting to spend money on. But these are things that are happening so that further down the road, it's easier. So be patient with yourself. if you feel like something's coming through and you're like, I don't like that. Like, I don't like that intuitive nudge I just got to go a different direction because it's going to take longer. Or I don't like the fact that I'm going to have to call this person and confront this issue. Those are the kind of things where we want to step back and go, but that came in for a reason. Of course, we're going to take some deep breaths. You can ask for clarification. You can ask for signs for the right time to act on these things. But again, for my own self, that's been a practice I've really had to implement, is being compassionate towards myself when I'm like, okay, I heard you loud and clear. I heard my higher self. I saw the synchronicities. I saw the messages. I just don't want to. It's almost like I just want to whine and be like, do I have to? And it's like, I know deep down, yes, that message was there to guide me, to help me. So anyways, I wanted to mention that because I can see where, with all this eclipse energy we're experiencing right now and all the things going on for us when it comes to the wider world stage, it can be easy to overlook the guidance that's just for us, if that makes sense. So how's everybody doing in the comments? I'd love to hear if that energy is affecting you in that way. Thank you so much for hitting the like button and sharing this video. I appreciate that. Hey, Virginia. Hey, Emmy. Good to see you there. Hey, Noelle. Great to see you. Oh my gosh. This energy just has been, very tedious in a lot of ways, but that is what it's supposed to be. It's meant to be showing us the things that are not quite in alignment so that we can handle it now before it snowballs into something bigger. Yes, you're so welcome, Virginia. I see you're having the vivid dreams as well. But yeah, I do think that, one of the things that we forget too is with the energy that's in Virgo right now, things are being felt on a deeper, a more intense level, and that's what can make things feel tedious. It can make it easy to over respond or react to things. And I do want to bring that up too. I was getting some guidance this morning and yesterday around our communication for the next few days. If possible, wait to have super difficult conversations or use a method to have the conversation that will ease any tension. So if it's a conversation with a loved one that's intense, maybe you can go outside and be in nature to have the conversation. Or if you know that somebody is not good at handling conversation face to face, maybe you're writing it in a letter and rereading it multiple times to make sure it doesn't sound too confrontational. Of course, we always have the age-old advice of, write the letter but don't send it if you need to get something out. But I did want to bring that up because right now the energy is primed for people saying things that can come out more volatile than they need to be. You can have the conversation without it being that confrontational, but the energy's there to push it. Of course, that's partially this eclipse energy we've been dealing with. On Sunday, the 21st, is that second eclipse where we have a new moon in Virgo, and that's our second new moon in Virgo at 29 degrees, the very final degree of Virgo. So starting right now at the time you're hearing these messages and all the way for the next probably 2 to 3 weeks, that's going to be the key thing to remember, is maybe pausing before you're saying things, responding to things. I know for me personally, I felt like a lot of people's communication has been abrupt, edgy, almost irritable, not necessarily towards me, but just like at the world, if that makes sense. And it's almost just like a defense mechanism. And I do think that's what a lot of people are feeling. Like, this energy is so intense. Like, I just have to be on the defense. But actually the higher thing to do, the better thing to do, is to focus on bringing that inner peace in, try to go higher, try to add that meditation. And this is one of those times where when everyone around you seems like they're giving in to this frustration, to these energies that are intense, this is where you can do so much help for the world and for others by going within and doing your journaling, doing things that help you feel at peace. And I know that can be hard to do, but that's turning off the headlines, turning off the noise, and doing things to raise your vibration, which will then spread and help raise the vibration of those around you, and it expands and it expands. So I wanted to make sure and share all of that with you, because if you're feeling these things too, you are not alone. please be compassionate with yourself. Another thing we really want to be listening to is our body, really listening to our body when we wake up in the morning. What is your body telling you? Asking your body, is there anything you want me to know? That can be a really great tool in the mornings. I know for me, probably it's my Cap rising, maybe. I want to make my workout regimen work no matter what. I'm like, this is my window. This is what I'm doing today. And there are times when my body is saying no to that. So I'm having to find a way to still get some movement in and exercise in a way that my body is like, okay, this feels good or this doesn't feel good. And then not, be hard on myself for having to change things. So that's just a really tiny example of it. But that's what I was talking about at the very beginning. If you're just joining, sometimes we get intuitive nudges or we get information that comes in through a feeling, a thought, just a sign or synchronicity. And it's like, do I have to listen to that? Really? And I know for me personally, a lot of times it'll involve like a family member. So in my own mind, I'm like, okay, this is something I need to address, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it in the right way for them. So this is where we can get confused and conflicted over the messages coming in. All right, we're going to jump into these all signs messages here, but I'd love to hear how everybody's doing in the comments. And as more messages come through, I will share them. A quick reminder, I do encourage you, my channel, I encourage everybody listening to all 12 signs because you do have all 12 signs in your chart. And if you want to know a little bit more about why I say that, I have a free video below called Know Your Signs. It teaches you how to pull your birth chart for free and to see where you have different houses on your chart and what it means, so you can understand where maybe you've always been told, oh, well, you don't have any planets in Taurus, but then you hear the Taurus message and you get angel bumps or something really stands out, or you think about somebody when you hear it. That message is still for you, even if you maybe you don't have planets there. You do have that part of your chart that could be being activated, or that's just an easier way for the message to go through. So definitely check that out. It's totally free. It comes with a free downloadable PDF where you can write all your signs in and get a very good visual of why I say that. These messages really are always meant for you when you come across them, when you hear them. So that's why, you don't need to worry about what particular sign I'm on. I do know that for some people, though, it's just a better, more organized way. So that's why I do it, and I love doing it. It's always my honor. So let's get started right away then with the Aries. All right, Aries, for you, first card I have here is this 3 of Air. Yes, I do feel like you've had to do some work on healing. You've had some things show up for you that have been a little challenging to deal with. They feel like they're slowing you down. I do think that for some of you, you've had to deal with other people in your life not necessarily seeing eye to eye with you, not necessarily going along with your plan, and it's been a little bit frustrating. It could be that maybe you were trying to start a business or plan a trip, and you've got a family member who doesn't support the idea. It could be that you are having to take care of somebody else, and it's keeping you from doing the things you want to do. Or maybe even you yourself have had to spend a little bit more time on your own healing, and you're thinking to yourself, I want to get started, I want to get further down the road, but I've got to deal with this. But that's okay, because this healing is coming for you. The next card I have for you is the Knight of Fire, and this is basically saying you're getting ready to really move ahead. I really like this. This card says a sudden event that needs immediate attention. It says time is of the essence, and think things through carefully. So this is that energy of you're really ready to charge ahead, but because of this healing, because of these things that have happened in the past, you're going to need to really think through the things you're going to do going forward, so that you're not recreating the same injury or re-injuring an old wound, bringing things back up again. So your third card, and we'll put this all together, is relationships. So yeah, there is something around a relationship with someone in your life. Who's the first person that comes to mind? That, you want to be careful with the way you're responding to this heartbreak. You know what I mean? And I do think for a lot of Aries, it's somebody that, you know, is important to you. And so it's hurtful that they are not supporting you in the way you feel you should be supported, or you're not able to move forward the way you want to because of this relationship. But again, we want to think things through carefully. It's the old idea of like, you know, you don't want to do something that ultimately holds yourself back, you know? And I think that's where sometimes people can be rash and they can react or respond and overdo something where now it's hard to go back and start again in a way that's healthy. So where I'm going with that is basically, you know, if you feel like there's a relationship in your life that's holding you back or not supporting you, before you just run out and end it all together or say something you can't unsay, really think through what it is that you want. And again, if you're just now joining me, we were talking about starting now through the end of the month. Please, please, please really think through your communication before you hit that send on that email or that text. Before you pick up the phone to confront somebody, I encourage you to really get clear on what are the things you want to communicate. I like to break it down into 3 things if it's a big thing. You know, a lot of times I think people are like, I am not seeing eye to eye with this person. We have to have this conversation. Well, maybe you don't discuss everything in one sitting. Maybe you come up with the 3 things you need to get across. You practice that, you write it down. Those can be really helpful before you go into that conversation, so you're clear on what you want to communicate and you're not doing anything to further damage the relationship or make things irreparable going forward. Okay, Aries? So again, I encourage you to think about what that is for you. It could be a boss, it could be a spouse, it could be parent, child, you know, friend. But there is something there about thinking things through carefully this month before you're making any rash decisions that you can't undo. All right. So we have that for the Aries. Let's move on to the Tauruses. Hey, Tauruses. All right. So what's been going on for the Tauruses? Tauruses, you have the 8 of Water card here. Searching, empowerment, fulfillment. Whenever I see this card, I do often hear the word boredom. I don't feel that as much for you, Tauruses, with this card. What I feel for this card, oh, I just realized it didn't switch to Taurus. Hang on just a second. There we go. Okay, we'll start again for the Tauruses. I have this 8 of Water card for you here. And I was talking about how basically a lot of times this card means you're bored with something. But and it could be that that's the case because things aren't going the way you want. But I can see for a lot of Tauruses, you know what it is that will help you feel fulfilled. But there's something holding you back right now. And you're searching for a way to navigate that energy, to feel empowered and to move forward and finally feel at peace with your path forward. And so for a lot of you, it's been frustrating because you feel like you've been on this path that is moving things forward, but then there's these little things that keep popping up and you're having to deal with this and call that person and write this email and wait and hear back from that guy. And it's frustrating, but you know that what you need to feel fulfilled is at the other end of this. So we're going to get some more guidance for you, but just trust that. Keep going with that thing that you know in your heart that is fulfilling. Keep going. Don't give up. It's exciting. It's fun. It's just taking a little bit of time. And so the next card I'm getting for you is the King of Earth card. Here we go. All right. And when I see this card, I always think of, patience, a successful time, confidently accept opportunities offered, the Midas touch. You're right there, Taurus. You're right there. You're about to have the things move forward that you've been waiting for, that you know will help you feel fulfilled. That's the thing, is that Taurus, you've had to deal with so much limbo energy. You know what I mean? Like you've been waiting to hear back on something. You've been waiting to finally invest in something. You've been waiting to finally feel good enough to do something. This is coming for you. The wait is worth it. That's what I want you to say to yourself as we continue to move through the rest of September. You are going to see things pick up a little bit in October. So please continue with that patience of, all right, we're going to take care of these things first. We're going to put these in order. We're going to check off our to-do list. These are all things that need to happen so that when you're ready, you can feel that success coming through the door. And then finally, you have this card, let your past go. Let your past go. And I do feel like for a lot of Tauruses, you're still reflecting on times in the past where things didn't quite work out, and you're putting a little too much of that energy into where you're headed now. And it's causing unnecessary worry. Essentially, this is where you're going, I know what I need to feel fulfilled, but what if it doesn't work out this time? And it's going to work out. You've got this Midas touch card here. But when I see this card, like I said earlier, this is somebody who has mastered patience. They've taken their time doing things, building a foundation so that once they were ready to go, everything's in alignment. So I want you to look at all these things that have been going on for you, Tauruses, that feel like they're holding you back. They feel like they're slowing you down, and they feel a little bit like they're creating some insecurity about where you're going. See them as necessary things to set you up with the foundation you need, and stop giving your power away to the past, having regrets over things that you can't change. That's where we want to let that go. You are moving into a new phase. So anything that felt like a failure in the past, let that go if you can. Even though this is a new moon, where we're releasing things, the full moon, we're still in that energy now. With this new moon, it's that intentional focus on the future and letting your past go and saying, I am not giving my power away to my past anymore. Okay, I hope that resonates with you, Tauruses, and I'm wishing you luck with these new endeavors. I know you're right there. I know you can feel it, and it's coming in for you big time. I love it. All right, moving on to the Geminis. Hey, Geminis. So for you, we have the Nine of Water here. Wishes, dreams, and happiness. Beautiful, beautiful card here. And I know that you have been working so hard on some creative projects. You've been working so hard on being seen differently in the world. So these things are coming in for you. Your next card is the Seven of Water, and it says a complex decision. It says the need to do research and stop procrastinating. And essentially, basically, it's saying you have so many options of ways you can move forward that you do need to just pick one and go with it. I'm feeling that you're spending too much time thinking about each of these options and not actually embracing them and trying them out and seeing where can you go with these ideas. Now, the key to keep in mind, though, is how you feel with this. And I know, Geminis, you're so intelligent, you're so charismatic and intuitive, but sometimes you ignore your own feelings about something because you're sitting there weighing out the pros and cons. If I do this, this happens. If I do this, this happens. Or you're looking at both sides of it and not knowing which one to pick. You're going to have to go with what feels right this time, not what intellectually sounds right, okay? And your third card I'm getting for you is this Release and Surrender card, which is like, you got to just pick a cup, give it a shot, give it your all, and go for it. And if you don't end up liking what you pick, you can change, you can pivot, and you will take whatever you learned from that with you. The key to remember too is that you are getting a lot of messages in your dream time, Geminis. If you're also having visitations in dreams, please write that down. Like I said, I had a dream this past weekend about a friend from my high school, college years I haven't seen or talked to in, I think probably like 15 years. I don't know, but it's been a long time. And it was a deep, deep conversation. This was not just a random dream. I know that there was a higher soul level conversation there. And I want you to be giving credit to these things and using that as an opportunity to choose what feels right. Sometimes hindsight is how you can make the choice for the future, as long as you are noting the things you learned, noting the things that feel good to you and don't. I often think back about that, the things that used to not feel good to me when I was younger, a lot of times I would deal with anyways, like a friendship that fell off or a job I didn't enjoy, because it's like, this is what I should do, or this is what I said I would do. And I would feel trapped in that emotion and trapped in that situation. Whereas now, as I'm older, I'm looking back and going, well, at least I know what I don't like, so that when I move forward working on things that I do want, picking one of these cups, I know what does feel right. And I know sooner when something doesn't feel right, I know sooner how to get out of it. Does that make sense, Gemini? That's what I feel like. I want you to embrace the opportunity to try it, and also embrace the opportunity to change your mind. You're allowed to change your mind if you pick one of these cups and it's not working out. So just release and surrender. Go with what feels good, not what you think is right, but what feels right, Geminis. And that's going to really help you with where you're moving forward with your creativity, with your home and family. I've been getting, for so many of you, you're expanding your family in one way or another. Some of you are getting married. Some of you are having children or have family members getting children. Some of you are writing books, and that's become like a child to you that you're working on. Continue with following those emotions. Just like we said with Taurus, it's about what's fulfilling. That's what we're looking for. But you can change your mind, all right? I want you to reserve that right with the people around you as well. You're allowed to change your mind, but go ahead and make a choice. Try it out first instead of sitting on the fence contemplating your options. Have you ever been with people where everyone's trying to decide where to go to dinner and nobody can make up their mind, and like somebody just needs to pick a place? If that's you, Gemini, then I encourage you to pick the place that feels right, and it's okay to change your mind. All right, moving on to the Cancers. How's everybody doing out there? Good to see everybody in the chat. Hello, hello. Hello, Joey. Good to see you there. Heidi, good to see you. Hello, Helena. Helena. Chris, good to see you. Yes, I am in divine flow. Thank you. That's one of my all-time favorite pocket affirmations. I am in divine flow. If you want to write that in the comment section below, I'm definitely using that with this eclipse energy for sure. I am in divine flow, and everything always works out for my family and me. All right, Cancers, let's go on to your energy here. We have the Page of Air. Truthful, analytical, and outspoken. Yeah, there's some hard truths that you're having to deal with right now, Cancers. There are things where maybe you've learned some things that feel frustrating. You've learned some things that feel like they were said in a tactless way. But it's okay, because this information is coming to light for you to be able to nurture and grow with and use to move forward. So let's get a little more clarification here. But basically what I'm seeing is there's been some challenging information you've had to deal with, but it's again, like I said at the very beginning of this video, for all of us, we want to be dealing with these things now, even if it's a little irritating, even if it makes you go a little out of your way or have to change your plans or do things a little more slowly. This information is here to keep things from snowballing into something that's an even bigger challenge. So right now, it's just kind of like a little tiny thing that you got to deal with. If you were to not, face this information head on, it could potentially snowball into something that's really just not going to be pleasant to deal with later. Hey, Chelsea, good to see you there. So your second card, Cancers, we have the Nine of Fire. Don't give up, protect what you've created. And it says, have courage and believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Yeah, and I'm getting this for a lot of really all 12 signs lately, but this information that we've been getting, it can sometimes feel like, what am I doing all this for? It causes you to second guess yourself, maybe have some self-doubt about the path you're on. But then when we get this Nine of Fire card here, where it says protect what you've created, that's basically saying, yeah, you've come this far. Don't give up on where you're going just because this information came in, just because this delay happened. Just because you're having to face something that is kind of challenging to face right now, it doesn't mean you were wrong to head down that path. And then the third card you're getting is the Go For It card. Yeah. So again, protect what you've created. Now, I want you to think, what was the first thing that came to your mind when you heard Go For It, Cancers? And of course, this is for all signs. When you hear Go For It, what is it? What have you been second guessing, wondering about? And I feel like, for a lot of you, especially Cancers out there, it's been more of a delay thing too, kind of like what we had with the Tauruses, where you feel like you're finally making momentum and then new information comes to light and you're like, oh, well, now I got to go deal with that. Again, this is happening for you. This is what this eclipse energy does. It shows you these things so you can handle it now, and then you'll be smooth sailing down the road. You'll be glad you listened to it. If you're just tuning in now, that was one of the things I was talking about at the beginning of the video, is how I've had to, remind myself to be compassionate with myself when I get an intuitive hit about something. I get some information and I don't really want to hear it. It's like, this is what I do. I'm an intuitive. I teach people how to use their intuition. I track my intuition very closely. And so I'll get some loud and clear message and piece of guidance that I know is meant for me. And I'm like, oh, I really don't want to hear that right now. It's okay to kind of have that frustration. And I've been working on that, like saying out loud what the emotion is. And I don't know if any of you have practiced that lately, but that could be a really powerful way to handle this energy. Is now it's like, right now I feel frustrated that I have to deal with this, or right now I'm angry that this was said to me in this way. It's okay to just sit with that for a minute and then say, now I'm going to shift. Now I'm going to go do this thing to feel better. I'm going to go. That was another big thing we talked about. I'll go ahead and switch to Leos here. Another big thing that we talked about with Chris and I yesterday is we're both getting so many messages, not yesterday, last week. If you missed it, it's right here on my channel. But we were talking about the need to have more fun every day. And with this energy and us having to navigate it, that's an easy thing to put off and never get to. So please, please, please be making that time for fun. All right, Leos, let's see. We've got for you guys, we've got the 2 of air, indecision, avoidance, confusion. You see that card there, trying to decide which one to take, which information to work with. Sometimes it's like you don't know who to believe is what I'm getting here. Like you're watching things online, tutorials, maybe you're listening to people talk about things, you're not sure which information you want to trust. It also feels like maybe there's a chance you're kind of avoiding a conversation where you need to have some clarity and you're just not wanting to deal with it. Maybe I feel like for some Leos, there might be someone in your life that you have to talk to them about something, but you're dreading it because you don't want to face their reaction to what you have to say. Or for some of you, you've already had to face it and you're like, I don't want to deal with that energy again. But there is something that you need to get clarity on. So let's keep going and see what else we have for you. Yep, King of Air. Look at that, King of Air. So another air card. It's talking about, being impartial, being diplomatic, speaking your mind with confidence. Okay, we had that with this. One of the other signs had this too, about making sure that you know what you need to get clear on, maybe even practicing what you need to say before you have the conversation, maybe delivering the information in a way that minimizes confrontation, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's going to really benefit you, Leos. It's just something that, you know what I'm getting, Leos? I feel like somebody is waiting on you to respond to them. Like, are you going on this trip with me? Are you going to take this job? Are you going to help me with this client? Are you, like there's something. And you are avoiding having that conversation because you don't want to, because you know that they're not going to, or you think you know. Okay, remember, sometimes we assume things, but you think you know how they're going to react. What are some ways that you can communicate this in a more King of Air diplomatic way? But go ahead and face it, because this indecision, that's a stalemate energy and it's holding you back, Leos. There's something you want to say to somebody that, it's just like, you may need to just rip off the Band-Aid and say it, but get clear on what you want to communicate before you do it. Because again, we have some really intense energy around communication for these next couple of weeks. So don't avoid it, but maybe take a new approach and just try to be really be the one that's taking the high ground, being very diplomatic, knowing what you're going to say and being clear on that. Your third card, Leos, is the acceptance card. The acceptance card. So I think it's more that you need to accept that this conversation, you need to have it. You need to accept that they are entitled to their emotions about what you have to say. You may have to accept that they're not going to agree with you. They're not going to see eye to eye, and it's time to just go your own way. This doesn't necessarily mean a breakup or anything like that, but it could be one of those agree to disagree type situations. I see this a lot in family dynamics where it's like, we love you, but we just don't see eye to eye on this. So we're just going to agree to disagree, and we're not going to talk about it anymore. Right. So there is something around that, Leos, that I feel like if you will just accept the fact that you need to speak your truth, right? You need to go ahead and make a decision about something and speak your truth. And the other person or group of people may not care for it. You've got to follow your heart and do what you know is right, because if you don't just go ahead and accept this decision needs to be made and accept whatever happens from that, you're holding yourself back from where you're trying to go. Okay, Leos? All right. Let's move on to the Virgos. We're still in your birthday season. We're still in your birthday season, and I am hoping that you are having an amazing one. And I hope you're celebrating all year long. Yes. And how has this eclipse season been for you guys? You're getting these eclipses for your birthday too. All right. Moving on to the Virgos, we have Ace of Earth. Ace of Earth. Look at that. Something new. Abundance, opportunity, resources. Well, when we move into Libra, we're going to be moving into your second house of earned finances and earned income, finances, all those kinds of things, self-worth. I do feel like there's something that you're really getting started on in a bigger way this year, Virgos, for this next trip around the sun for you guys. This is really, really exciting stuff. You're investing in something new that your heart really wants. And this is such a great gift that you're giving yourself, Virgos. Your next card is the Emperor. Yep. I love this for the Virgos, of course, because it says organization and logic, structure and discipline, leadership, some things that you are very, very good about. Just remember that when you're really excited about this new investment, keep going with that organizational process about how am I going to handle these potential things that may come up. Where can I really show my leadership within this new thing that I'm doing? For some of you, you're investing in a relationship. For some of you, you're investing in a new business. For some of you, you're investing in your home, or you're investing in just beautifying things and doing things in a different way. But there's something new you're doing, Virgos, that you're going to really shine as a leader, and people are going to see you as that person that they come to for, for support and for, hey, how do I handle this? How do I deal with this? That's what I'm feeling. I feel like you're going to be seeing a lot of people coming to you between now and the end of the month for your opinion on things. Like, how would you approach this? How would you handle this? And then your third card is the fresh air card. Love that. So yeah, definitely getting out there, doing new things. What I'm actually getting with this fresh air card, not just literally getting out and getting fresh air, but fresh communication. I think some of you are going to be maybe joining some new groups between now and the end of the year, where it's going to be like a breath of fresh air to be around these people. Like, you're going to say, wow, now I feel like I'm with my people, especially this Emperor card. It feels like you're just going to feel like you fit right in. So if you've been thinking about getting out there and looking into joining some kind of group, some kind of, extracurricular activity, something fun to do, just getting out there and doing new things, it's going to just feel like a breath of fresh air. And it's going to be a really good thing for these new things. You're investing your time and energy in something that's going to be like a breath of fresh air. I love that for the Virgos. What a great way to kick off your, or wrap up your birthday season, right? Hello, Libras. We're going to be getting to your birthday season very soon, aren't we? Well, I hope you have some fun plans. And your first card is the Ego card, illusion, dependency, materialism. All right. Now, whenever you see the ego card, it doesn't mean you're egotistical. It means you may be holding yourself back because of an old way of doing something where your ego is saying, hey, we can't do that because of XYZ. And now you're having to look at it and go, but why can't we? And I want that to be your question the next time that you think about trying something and then your brain goes, oh, we can't do that. Or they will never say yes to that, or they'll never go along with that, or I'll never be able to afford that. I want you to ask, why not? I want you to ask yourself that, Libras, because you are good at seeing both sides of things. But if you get too far off into one side of things, it can be hard for you to tip the scales backwards, right? That's your glyph, is a scale. And so if you get too focused on one side of the scale and it gets too weighed down, is that much more effort for you to get back up to a level of balance where you can see both sides. So I want you to really have a lot of conversations internally with your ego when it tries to block you from trying something new or doing something differently. The second card I get for you is Nine of Air, expecting the worst, self-fulfilling prophecies, and sleepless nights. So exactly what I was talking about here. These things that are keeping you up at night, these things that are keeping you from trying something new, this is your ego getting too involved and not allowing you to use your intuition and your heart to make these decisions. So I want you to start challenging your own internal dialogue, Libras, okay? Catch yourself when you're in an inner dialogue of frustration over news headlines, frustration over people in your life, frustration over things that are not working. How can you challenge your ego and say, no, we're going to change the outcome. We are not going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy and assume the worst. We're going to get our scales back to balance, whatever that is for you, that brings you back into a place of balance, and you're going to flip the script. That's what I want you to think about. And then your third card is daydream. There we go. Perfect. All right. So flip the script and daydream. What if I did take a sabbatical from my job and travel to Europe for a month or two? What if I started planning to retire early? What if I moved to a different location? Okay. You're just daydreaming, but you're allowing that balance to come back to a place where you can actually see both sides. And sometimes you can actually come up with a solution that isn't quite so dramatic, where your ego at first was like, oh, we could never afford to do that. And then you realize, well, when I get back to balance, but I can't do that yet. Maybe I can't take that sabbatical yet, but I could go away for the weekend. I could, start planning a little vacation. There are things you can do when you get that different perspective, Libras. And, especially with your birthday season coming up, I want you to be really thinking about the things that in the past you haven't even let yourself daydream about. And that's the beauty of daydreaming, is it's free. You can daydream about anything, and it's your own private time. So challenge your ego when it says you can't do something, flip the script and do that daydreaming. And I think you're going to get a lot of clarity about things you want to start, but between now and the end of the year, to set you up for success in the new year. So I love that for the Libras. All right. Scorpios. Hey, Scorpios, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Hey, Emmy, really? That's good to know. Okay, so next we have the Scorpios here. We've got Three of Water, celebration, community, and friendships. Look at that. Water for your water energy, Scorpios. Celebrating. We'll be going into your birth season as well in October. And I think you're going to want to really surround yourself with the people you love starting now and through your birthday season. So if you haven't already considered maybe doing something special for your birthday this year, start thinking about it. Maybe plan a little get together with your friends, plan some kind of celebration, plan some kind of little getaway. I think you're going to really love that. And this is a beautiful energy for you coming in. And you know what I'm also getting from this, Scorpios, is really giving yourself credit for how much you love. You are so loving and deep and passionate towards the people you choose to be. Celebrate that you are loyal in that way. Celebrate that you bring that to this planet. Now, I know you're also very clear on the ones that you don't want in your life too, right? And that's okay. That's good to have those boundaries. But I want you to give yourself credit for when you love all the way, and celebrate that about yourself, and celebrate the people in your life who accept that love from you. You know, that's that saying from, you guys, I'm going to blank on it. Is it the Phantom of the Opera? No, what's the song? What play is it where the song is the greatest thing you'll ever learn is how to love and be loved in return? I probably butchered that, but does anybody know in the comments where is that? What is that song from? Yeah, I should know this. I had it the other day, but the reason I'm bringing that up is it can be harder to receive love than to give it, right? A lot of times it can, to really, really embrace being loved, Scorpios. So I want you to celebrate when you allow yourself to be loved, and I want you to celebrate those who allow themselves to receive your love. Does that make sense? So the second card we have here is the balance card. We have the need to balance and moderate cooperation and compromise, and wait for the perfect timing. Again, yes, I do think you make sure you are taking a balanced approach though to your relationships, to your projects, to things that you're trying to do, because this message has come up for you guys over and over again, Scorpios. A lot of times you're the first one to see what needs to change, and it takes a while to get everybody else on board. So you have to be balanced in your approach and try to get them on board in a way that allows them to feel like, okay, I can handle this, you know, and that's where the compromise comes in, or the cooperation, where you're like, hey, we need to get this done now. And the other person's like, wait, give me a minute. Like, can we do it next week? Because I need to handle this first and that first. And so you're trying to figure out a way where there's a balanced approach, and you're not trying to make all these changes at once. And this could even come with a new relationship. So if you are in a relationship, or you're trying to take a relationship to the next level, it could be that you just need to really take a really balanced approach to that. Maybe you are wanting to start a family, and your significant other is like, I'm not quite ready. Maybe next year, maybe after I get this job. And so you're trying to find a way to like match that. Try to be patient and loving, and just celebrate that you have this opportunity to do this. And then finally, the Scorpios have blessings in disguise. Blessings in disguise. Yeah. So I do think that this balance card is talking to maybe waiting, like something. It feels like there's something that you're ready to do right now, but not everybody else is on board. So you're having to compromise and say, okay, well, we'll do it next week, or we'll do it next year, or like we'll go on this trip, but we won't go for 2 weeks. We'll go for 1 week, whatever. There's something there, but it's going to bring in something that you're going to be like, oh, wow, I'm glad that we cooperated on that. I'm glad we compromised. I'm glad we waited for the right time. Because this is really, wait for perfect timing is really standing out to me, Scorpio. So again, it could be waiting for the right time to have a conversation. You're not telling your spouse, this big life change you want to make the minute they walk through the door and they're tired at the end of the day. You're waiting until they're relaxed and they've gotten a drink of water and changed or whatever, that kind of a thing. It's like, what needs to happen, but you kind of need to wait for everybody to get on board. I feel like I have to say that to you guys a lot because it keeps coming up, and I know you know that, but you're so good at seeing things that not everybody else can see, All right. So waiting for perfect timing for the Scorpios. Love it. All right, moving on to the Sages. All right, Sagittarius, first for you, we have the Six of Fire card. It says success, recognition, and self-esteem. Love that. Love that fiery energy. Yeah, you're being recognized for all your talents. I've been getting this for you guys all year. Chris Rex said he was too last week when he was here. New jobs, new businesses, side hustles, creative talents. People are seeing this in you, and you're finally letting it really blossom. I feel like there's some things that you maybe stepped away from last year. and even into the beginning of this year, and maybe you're returning to them in a bigger way and you're saying, you know what, I am good at that. I am talented at that, and I'm going to show that to the world. I'm going to let my talents be seen. The second card I'm getting for you guys is the Lover's card. Love that as well. It says intimate relationships, carefully weigh your decisions, good health. So yeah, again, you're calling in these new relationships. You're showing your passions to the world. People are seeing this in you. I feel this is like all kinds of relationships too. I know a lot of times people see this as literally love, but in romantic love, but it's like a love of life. It's a love of the direction you're going in. And I just have really felt like a lot of Sages have, because in the past you weren't maybe treated properly for the skills you offered, because you weren't really seen for who you really are. People were trying to put you in a spot and call you this one person, and you're saying, no, I'm more than that, that you kind of gave up on it. Not gave up like altogether, but it just you lost your passion for it. And now you're saying, you know what? No, I am not going to let that dim my light. I am not going to let that stop me from pursuing the things I want to pursue. Because the third card I'm getting for you here is the Law of Attraction card. Yeah, the more you pursue these passions, the more you do the things you need to do to be seen for your talents and to really stand in that authenticity. Because that's the other thing, is you've always been authentic. You've always been like, this is who I am and this is what I do. But other people have tried to just like project onto you and say, no, that's not who you are. And so that's what I was feeling, is like, you were like, well, fine, if you're going to keep ignoring what I'm trying to say, then I'm out of here. You know what I mean? Or I'm just not going to do this anymore. And now you're saying like, okay, but when I do go do those things with full passion and full charge ahead, right? This is public recognition. Then you're saying, I'm doing this now. I'm here to be seen. That's when you're just going to see so many things coming in for you, Sagittarius. So I just feel really, really amazing stuff starting to really get going here in September, that's just going to get you fired up even more towards the end of the year, where you're going to feel like, finally, I'm doing the things that I want to do and being seen for how good I am at them. So I love that for the Sagittarius. Thank you so much for liking and sharing this video if these messages resonate. I really appreciate it. And don't forget, you can always sign up for my free newsletter to get my ebook, Is It a Sign? If you want to learn 5 questions to ask if you think you're getting a sign, because we've been talking about this. We're going to be getting a lot of messages, in September that may not make sense until October, November. So we just want to make sure we are writing everything down in our journal. All right, moving on to Capricorns. Hey, Capricorns. The first card we have for you is the Sun card. Look at that. Moving in through this energy that we have with the eclipse: success, recognition, enthusiasm. Yeah, something that you've really been working hard on. You're finally bringing it to the forefront. You're finally getting it out there in a big way, and this will be a huge success for you. Continue to be patient with the way things are moving. I do feel like for Capricorns, you generally are very patient because you know what needs to be done and how it needs to be done and all the things. But there's also been some frustrations along the way, Capricorns, and I want you to see those things as blessings in disguise, like we had for, was it the Scorpios or was it but see those delays, see those things where you're having to just make some changes or change the timeline as something that is going to really bring you the recognition you deserve. Because the second card I'm getting for the Capricorns is the Three of Water. Look at that. So celebration, wedding, graduation, birth announcement, the need to have more fun. Yep, we all need to have more fun. But I do feel for the Capricorns, this is like, these delays, these things that are that have happened for you where you're like, when am I going to finally complete this project? When I'm going to finally, move past this issue? it's going to be successful, and you're going to be so glad that it took the amount of time it did, because it's going to come out so great in the end. You're going to just get to really celebrate and enjoy life. And in the meantime, try to have fun too while you're waiting, right? Remember, we're trying to add fun to our life every day. We're not just waiting till Friday to have fun. We're having fun every day in a healthy way, in small bite sizes if you have to. And then we have the trustworthy guidance. Yeah. So you've been getting guidance from your higher self, and normally you tend to just go with what you you go with what has been proven. But once Pluto moved out of your sign for good, Capricorns, it became all about really starting to use your intuition in a bigger way, which we're all learning to do, but definitely trusting that guidance. And like I said at the beginning of this video, if you're getting intuitive hits or information that you don't really want to hear, because it means you got to change something, you got to delay something, you got to deal with something you didn't really want to deal with, just trust that you can trust the guidance, that it's in your highest good that you deal with this now, right? And that's been a big message we've all been getting, is that there are things that are being brought to the surface with these eclipses that are not going to be as big of a deal to handle if you face them now. If you keep kicking the what do you call it? Kicking the can down the road. There's the word. I was about to say kick the bucket. I was like, that's not what I'm trying to say. If you keep kicking the can down the road, we just don't want to deal with that. You don't want to have to deal with what that might bring. You want to just deal with these they are like little nuisances right now, okay? It's just a little bit of more of a delay, a little bit more of an expense, a little bit more of a change in your plan or direction or something like that. A little out of your way is what it feels like. But it's well worth it, okay, Capricorn? So yeah, definitely trust those intuitive nudges coming through regarding projects, relationships, things you're trying to complete, because it will be in your highest interest to just deal with it now. All right. And Aquarius, for you guys, we have the 5 of Water, disappointment, regret, forgiveness. Okay. Here's what I'm feeling with this for, it didn't change to Aquarius, did it? All right, we'll start that again. Aquarius. I said I hadn't switched it off of Capricorn yet, but it says 5 of Water, disappointment, for regret, and forgiveness. But that's not what I'm feeling here. What I'm feeling for you guys is there is something that you worked very hard to keep this milk from spilling here. Like, you saw the spill coming. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever seen that with like a kid, where you can tell that they're about to like trip over a step, or they're about to, spill their juice, and you see it coming, and you're doing everything you can to kind of guide them away from that, but it still happens. I feel like that's what you've been through, Aquarius, is like you've really worked hard to help these cups not get spilled, but they spilled anyways. And so we're going to get some more clarity on that. But what the big thing that's coming through is for you to know that everything you did was the right thing. It wasn't a wasted effort, even though the milk got spilled. Does that make sense? That's what I'm really getting for Aqua, is like every effort you made was still worth it, even though this was the result. Okay. Because the next card I'm getting for you guys, 6 of Fire. 6 of Fire. You can't make this stuff up. Victory, good news, it's on its way, public recognition or award. So yeah, basically that even though the milk still got spilled, you were seen by others in a different light, in a way that people were like, oh, we should listen to Aquarius. We should see what they're doing. Like, they know what they're doing. And even they were over here helping this person keep from spilling their milk, and they still spilled their milk. That's okay, because now we see this person, you Aquas, and we're like, let's go see what they're doing. Let's follow them. They seem like they see things from a viewpoint that would be beneficial. And you do. Like, you are able to see things in a humane way and bring that humanity to things. And so, you can really show up for others in a way that would benefit everybody around you. And ultimately, you won't be the one that's crying over spilled milk because you're like, hey, I did everything I could to keep you from spilling your milk. That's why I was saying it's such a different message coming through for you, because it's like, it wasn't your milk that got spilled. It was someone else's. You're trying to help them. They weren't listening, whatever. It doesn't matter, because everything you did was the right thing to do, and it's still going to bring you that success and recognition. And then finally, we have the heart chakra here, because everything you did came from the heart, Aquarius. These things that you were doing, there's a ladybug that just landed on my window right when I said that. Aquas, you were doing this from the heart. Okay. So that's the big, I just got angel bumps all down. Everything you did came from the heart. So everything you did was worth it. It was 111%. We'll do 111, angel number. No, it was all worth it, Aquas. Okay. That's the thing. As I feel like you may be doubting that if you had done this, or should you have done this, but all the messages are like, everything you've done is bringing this success in for you. And, wherever you have Aquarius in your chart, go look at that, because it was worth the effort, 100%. All right, Aquas? Very, very clear message coming in for you guys. All righty. Moving on to the Pisces. The Pisces, and we will do a quick collective reading for actions to take right here after we do the Pisces. Thank you so much for liking the video. I appreciate it. All right, Pisces, for you guys, we have the page of fire. The page of fire. So creative, enthusiastic, motivated. Yeah, you're doing a lot of fun things. You're doing new things. You're seeing things from a different perspective. I do feel some of you have some new passion in your life right now. For some of you, it's a new person coming in. For some of you, it's a new like hobby, or like something you're really getting into that makes you so excited, and you're just fired up about it. Like it feels like something, like if you've ever had a book that was like hard to put down, like you couldn't wait to get through your day so you could go back to reading your book, or, it was just one of those books that stayed on your mind all day as you went to the grocery store and did other things. You couldn't wait to get back to it. This is the kind of energy I'm feeling, like something that feels so good to do, and you're so excited about that it just makes everything in your world look brighter. Like the normal drudgery things that you have to do in your day are just not that big of a deal anymore, because you've got this passion in your life. So it's more fun to go to the grocery store. It's more fun to do the dishes because you've got this thing you're so excited about. The next thing I have is the Two of Air card here, which we had another sign that had that. I think it was Leo's. Leo's had the Two of Air, or it was Two of Swords in the other deck, but it says being unable or unwilling to make a decision, a stalemate, pretending there is not a problem. Yeah, so again, a conversation. Like I feel like there is some conversation you need to have. Maybe it's with a Leo, Pisces, but there's some conversation that needs to be faced because you're stuck in this stalemate energy. And so if you don't just go ahead and have that conversation, it's gonna slow you down with these new passions, these new interests. There's something you want to do, but I feel like there's a conversation that you need to have first. And so go listen to the Leo reading too, Pisces, because it may be a Leo in your life, but it may just be that there's messages in the Leo energy for you that'll give you a little more clarity around this. Is just make sure you're not just ignoring the problem, okay, Pisces? And then the third card we have for you guys, and then we'll get to your action messages, is innocence. Innocence, yeah. So trust that you are innocent in the way you feel. I actually feel like maybe what's going on is this conversation, or whatever this stalemate energy is, it's almost like you're being hard on yourself for feeling the way you feel, right? And it's like you're entitled to your feelings. You're allowed to feel that way. You are innocent in that feeling, and acknowledge that and be willing to have it. And maybe it is a situation where you're having to have that hard conversation with somebody, and you're saying to somebody like, I know that this is what you want, but it really hurts me that you're, doing this, or that you're leaving me out, or I feel like maybe it's something like you're saying, I know I shouldn't be mad that you're doing this, but I just am. You know, like I can't come up with a good reason why you shouldn't, you know, date that person or take that job, but it upsets me. You know what I mean? Like I think of things like you'll hear a lot in like families where like there's, you know, 2 or 3 siblings and one of the siblings gets married and the other siblings get jealous and they're kind of like, well, we're happy for you that you got married, but now like we don't get you around as much. That kind of a thing. So it's like, I can't really justify why I feel this way because you should be able to do whatever you want with your life, but I do. My feelings are hurt. So like, let's talk about it. Let's address the elephant in the room. That's what it is. That's what it is. I feel like your feelings got hurt, Pisces, by something someone said or did or a decision they made or a new thing they're doing. And you're kind of like, I know I'm not supposed to be mad about this or hurt by this, but I am. So just trust that you're innocent in that, but go ahead and have that heart to heart in a like loving and compassionate way so that you can move on. So you can just say like, what can we do about this to move on from this? All right. I think that's going to be really beneficial for you guys because you've got this new passionate thing that you want to do. And it's going to free you up to do it. You know, it's almost like you're spending too much time worrying about that instead of focusing on the new passion and the new excitement thing because you got to go deal with that stalemate energy. So knock out that stalemate energy. Use this eclipse energy, right? You know, one of the big things I've heard a lot of astrologers say, and I've been using it for myself, is that with eclipse energy, we don't want to force things, right? Because there are things that are meant to go a certain way. They're meant to change with this eclipse. And so if you try to force something, it's like you're paddling upstream, right? And so what we really need to be doing with this energy is basically letting go of the paddles and letting the boat go with the current, okay? Now you can, I like to say this, don't completely let go of the paddles because you might need to push off a rock or two as you're going, but you do want to go with the flow, right? That's what we were saying earlier. I am in divine flow. One of my all-time favorite pocket affirmations. All right. Let's do your actions to take here really quickly so that we can see what we could do right now. So at the time that I am recording these messages, it is a few days before the eclipse, a little more than a few days. It's a Wednesday. The eclipse is Sunday. And I've noticed that a lot of the energy we've been dealing with lately, including the most recent eclipse we had back on the 7th, that we're not necessarily seeing what's being shifted for the first few days after the eclipse, right? It's taking a little time for us to see what was really going on behind the scenes, to see it happening in our outer world. So what we're going to do with these messages here is just get some actions to take to help with us being in that flow, to help with us going with the flow, holding on to the oars in case you need to push off a rock or something, go around something, right? But be willing to go around. I mean, that's the other thing. You might have to take the longer route. You might have to take the route where there's a little more traffic. You might have to go to the store during rush hour when normally you always try to avoid that. There are things you may need to do. Listen to that intuition, try to go with the flow, and try to stay really present in the moment where you're saying, okay, this is what I'm doing now. Do that. Okay, now this is what I'm doing now. I'm going to do that. And that's going to help you get through this energy. So I'm going to pull these cards here, see what comes up for right now for all of us. All right, so for the current energy, we have this King of Air card, knowledgeable, objective, respected. So this is what you're being asked to do for others. You are the one that is being seen as objective, all right? When other people are overreacting to headlines, overreacting to things that are being eclipsed out of their lives, when people are completely unaware of the way this energy is affecting them, you can be the objective one saying, okay, we're going to stay in divine flow. We're going to trust that this is all happening for us. The near future card is talking about, oh yeah, I love this. 2 of Fire, planning, partnering, and progress, So go focus on something exciting and fun to do with a partner, with a friend. Get out there and do something creative. That's going to help you too with this energy. Go focus on the things you love. Can you go ahead and make plans this weekend to do something you enjoy? Because that's going to help with the energy as well. Focus on the things you love. If you like to paint, schedule time to paint on Sunday or Saturday or around that time. If you like to go for walks, maybe plan that with a good friend or a loved one. And then the future card, we have the Four of Water, distraction, self-absorption, discontentment. And this is just a reminder that we need to do the things that we find creative and fun, and not distract ourselves from doing the things we're meant to be doing. So the way to say it is almost like being, focusing on something that you don't like is a form of distraction, okay? Instead, we're focusing on what we do like, and we're not allowing ourselves to get distracted by what we don't like, right? So it's like the old look for the good in people, look for the good in the situation. Those are the things you need to be doing, because really and truly what's needed here, excuse me, my throat just got a little dry there, is to avoid this being self-absorbed with something you don't like, right? Do the thing that needs to be done. That's what we've all been getting. There's certain things that need to be done so that this doesn't snowball into something else. Instead of being annoyed that you have to go to the grocery store in rush hour, instead of being annoyed that you have to take the longer route to work today or whenever, put on a good podcast, put on a fun playlist, and try to enjoy the moment and just deal with it. So we have two actions here now. We have the Four of Air, meditation, recuperation, contemplation. Yeah, take a break this weekend if you can, okay? Spend some quiet time alone. Make a staycation, do something fun, take a break from the news headlines, from the social media, right? And then your second action card is going to be the Page of Water, sensitive, open-hearted, and intuitive. Look at that. You're going to be getting all these downloads if you do that. So that's the main thing to keep in mind. Spend this time being creative, doing fun things. If you catch yourself feeling sorry for yourself or being stuck and like, oh, I don't want to have to do this, that's okay. Acknowledge that you don't like it. Give yourself credit. Like I said, be compassionate with yourself, but then go do something fun. Spend some quiet time alone and get those downloads. Please, please, please. So many downloads coming in. Write them in your journal, okay? We're going to be talking about that more in October, what some of these downloads mean. And, I'm just so excited to see the way these messages are going to be coming through for you. So thank you all so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.